everyone. Welcome to Breakthrough Conversations. My name is Danielle Perry and I'm the host. I am so glad that again you're tuned in for another episode of this podcast. And if this is your first time, this is a Christian podcast which features people of all ages, and they share a bit of their story about how God has helped them to overcome a difficult challenge, situation, or season in their lives, or maybe they're on their way to overcoming with God's help. And they do share authentically. If you're back, then you know that we are in the marriage series, and this is episode 35 and it's part 2. If you missed part 1, you will want to go check it out. It features Mike and Algenia White, and the title of this episode is Building a Spiritual Legacy in Marriage. And a quick disclaimer, y'all, I was testing out a new camera for this episode, and guess what? Every now and then it turned off. So if you notice something visually different on my side of this recording, just know that that's what it was. Get ready again to hear some more wisdom nuggets, and without further ado, here it is, part 2. Enjoy and be blessed. Mike, when did you decide that teaching would be a career that you wanted to get into? Did your kids have any influence on that decision?
Wow. So when we first came down, and that was a thought, I was like, I really enjoyed
Cops Camp.
I was in charge of my department's outreach camp. We had a camp during the summer. I planned for it all year, and I just had a blast. One of the guys that helped me, he said, "Hey, Mike, man, you really missed your calling, man. Like you should have been working with kids." I'm like, "Man, stop playing." I was meant to be a cop. Don't stop playing. And then fast forward, and I'm like, and his words were just ringing in my head, and I'm watching Gina become a teacher, and that wasn't her original plan,
right?
That was God just doing things. And but I started the process to get my alternative certification when I first got down here. I mean
we started at the same time, I think, right?
I paid the fee. That's all I did. I didn't start anything else. I paid the fee. That's all I did, because once I got to the part where you had to take the classes, my brain just shut down. I'm like, no, it's not for me. I gotta find something else.
Yeah.
It's not working. But it took a couple years. I was doing real estate, and then the market shift, and God basically just kind of halted my real estate business. I was doing pretty good for a while, and he just kind of halted. The real estate. I could say the real estate market took a turn. It did, but God really halted my business, and it humbled me, and it took me to that moment where once I got there, I just flew through all those classes. I took those classes. I was done with
Girl,
2 months.
Tell you.
I did all my requirements. It was I feel like God graced me within that time frame just to be able to do it. And I went to my interview. I talked to a few people, and I was like, my plan is to leave here with a job offer. So I went to the school I was originally planning on working at, and it's we'll call you on Monday, and maybe we'll see we schedule something. I'm like, nah, that's not good enough. So I went to the next table of the school that my son was already going to. And I talked to them, and so, you want to interview right now? I was like, yeah, let's do it. Went to interview, and they seemed pretty happy, and I just kind of walked around, like, still no offer yet. I'm still walking around. I'm like, but that was good. I'm glad I got an interview, but that's not what I came here for. So then the principal kind of circled back. She's like, well, I know I don't want to just pull you and not give you options, but if you're ready, if you want to commit to this, then we can do the offer now. Let's do it. Let's write it up. And it was my second choice school.
Okay.
But they gave me an offer, and I still had to finish all the requirements before the school year started. But it was the same school my kids already were going to. I got to be with them all day. And it's funny when I think of when my daughter was born, my whole mindset was like, I can't be the police no more. I can't do this because my job right now is to protect her all day.
Right.
That's just my job, just be her bodyguard every day.
Yeah.
But it took. I wanted to do it, but I just didn't know if I had the capability of doing it, because I just didn't want to go through that process initially. But when God opened that door, I I went through it and I crushed the program. Last year was my first year teaching. This is my second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was up to my principal, he would have made me team lead this year. I'm like, nah, I need another year before I can,
Wow.
he just,
He's giving you favor.
yeah, he just, and yeah, I mean, I do fifth grade now. All the fifth grade teachers that were there last year are no longer here this year. So I'm like, technically the longest. It's crazy. So I'm like, that's cool, no, but I'm like, I still second year teacher, but it teaching is hard. It's very challenging, and I need that. I need something challenging. I get bored real quick. I do, but I mean, just to see. I mean, I'm pretty sure Jared tells you all the time, just to see the impact that having a black male teacher, and like most people even had that opportunity, that chance before, and it you could just it just as hard as it gets, you're just constantly reminded like how much you're needed there. And I'm in the same building as my kids. I remember it was last year during the Christmas program. My daughter's on stage and we had a lockdown drill during the Christmas performance. Apparently, parent when it walked in the building with a weapon, didn't realize it or something, whatever happened. But I'm like, well, we locking down, but I'm right in the same room as my daughter. We good.
Wow.
We good. Something happened. We're going to be all right.
Yeah.
Just to be able to be there with him. We commute together.
Oh.
I mean that, but they're always with me. And I'm like, I don't think I mentioned, my dream job was like federal law enforcement. So I worked in the federal government before I became the police and stuff, and to get the experience and stuff so I can get to the other level. I basically interviewed for a particular federal law enforcement job, and I got it right before we left Texas. I got it.
Oh, wow.
Give it to me. All I had to do was finish the background.
Wow.
But that meant I would have had to leave my family for about 9 months to 2 years. Then back to the DMV to finish training, where I just moved my family to Texas. So I'm just at a point where my goals and my dreams were just not important anymore versus what God is doing and the opportunity. I mean, I feel like I could have taken it and God would have, graced me or allowed me, but I don't believe that's what I was called to do. So it's like at a certain point, you got to make the choice, and God's not going to force you. You have to make the choice. And, I have days where I'm like, oh man, it would have been great if I did that and make that goal. But just the fact that I know I got there, but looking at the alternative now, I see my kids every day. Like they have no question how I feel or how much I love it. They have no doubt about it. Like no doubt about it. Very different from my relationship with my dad, and if nothing else, whether you have the best dad or worst dad, you still learn something from them. You learn what to do or what not to do. So I learned what not to do. And whatever career path, I mean, I don't know how long I'll be teaching, whatever it is, my main job is to be a husband and a father, and I will always do the best for that. And it's like I can do that and not miss, even going home every day with the police job, I still miss a lot of stuff. Missed a lot of stuff. I don't miss anything. I don't miss anything. And I love it. But
so how do you guys, being in the same career, right? Both teachers. Algenia, how long have you been teaching now?
7 years.
7 years. So how is that? Because you go from having such different career paths or careers to now you're in the same career. So, how is that as far as how does that impact your marriage even? And how does that impact how you raise your kids in this season?
Well, let me just gush on Mike right quick because he, literally favor what took me 2 years. So when I taught in Maryland, I was teaching for like 2 years before we moved. So when I moved, the certification I had in Maryland, the type that I'd had, because I was at a private school, did not transfer to Texas. I needed to completely start over. And so I had to go through the program that he was referring to. And so technically, I think we applied like at the same time. We did everything in like a week. So I got a job because his mom was like applying to jobs for us before we even moved for both of us, because she's like looking at keywords and stuff. So I got a job 2 weeks after we moved at a school. They called me. They was like, hey, can you interview today? I went down and I got the job right away.
Wow.
And this school was like in the hood in Texas, in San Antonio. So I was like, okay, well, I mean, you know, I'm used to a different kind of hood, but it's all good. You know,
right.
It's a charter school, so it's different. And so again, you know, God just graced me for that and graced me that. So I only had a job. He didn't have one. But because I got a job so quickly, it took me like 2 years to do this program. And then he goes and God's like, okay, go ahead and do it. Because I kept asking, I'm like, dude, why don't you just be a teacher? You get to be off on the summer, this, that, and the third. He did it in like 4 months. Like, I'm like, how is this
right?
Because I was working. And then just like the next year, they're like, okay, we're going to ask you to be team lead and things like that. And then I ended up leaving that particular school. And I got to the school district that I'm at now, which is how he got in. And so often they have job fairs and stuff, and they will hire you on the spot. And so Mike kept saying his faith pushed me to even be at the school district that I was at. And he kept saying, you need to go. I was like, well, I ain't finished my schooling yet. Let me finish that first. He's like, no, if you don't go for the job interview, I'll go for you. Like, I'm going to interview for you. I'm going to tell them how good you are. I said, all right, I'm going to go, because I knew he was serious. So I showed up and I get the job right away. And we're like, oh my God, I got a job. I'm calling him right after like I leave the place. And so that is often, but also I think it's indicative of the place we live in Texas, especially in San Antonio. Teaching is like, there's a lot of teachers here. There's a lot of teachers. Like that is a huge deal down here, school districts and teaching. And so I kept telling him like, dude, I think, you know, if nothing else, you could try it out. You know, in the summer, do your real estate. And I kept pressing. I was like, just try it again. Just try it. I don't know. Just try it out. See if you like it. Because I knew how good it was with kids and stuff. So I just had to.
Yeah.
Like, just like, dude, he flew through it. And he took all the tests and he passed it the first time. I took the test.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I failed it like twice. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go again. I'm going to go again. He passed all
That's
of them.
awesome. Yeah, that's awesome.
The year we had COVID was a big moment too, because I was doing my real estate full time, so I was able to stay with the kids while she went and taught half virtual, half in person stuff. But I felt like I was like a co-teacher to my son. He was in kindergarten, and I'm like learning all kinds of stuff. You know, because he's not physically at school. He's at home on the computer. I'm just like supporting him and
yeah.
I was already like kind of doing like
taught him to read and stuff.
Yeah, he took off that year, and I'm like, it's not too bad, but yeah, I think it was something that guy had, and it just took me a while to realize it. You know, even now I still like doubt myself, but it's still so much I can learn and do better with. You know, I got to call, you know, my friend, my teacher of the year every so often. You know, but yeah, it's good. As far as working, doing the same profession is new to us, but it's also we're on the same schedule. You know, that works.
Yeah.
This is a lot of work, and I used to support her a lot. You know, and I used to kind of, you know, I think I'm good at like empathizing, like kind of helping you or put myself in your shoes to kind of help you strategize. How can you, you know, get your grading done? How can you, you know, get some systems in place to make sure everything is. And I always give her advice and stuff. And then I get into the role, and it's like what I thought I understood. It's like, you know, I'm talking to her. Well, use the strategy that you told me to use. I'm like, I can't. I don't have time to use it. It's just not working. You know. Time, you know.
Yeah.
So it's just because we can kind of relate on a lot of different things.
Yeah.
We got teacher story for days. I feel like I can share a lot of my stories now. A lot of my police stories I couldn't really share because
right.
she told me she didn't want to hear them, and then when she found like out later on, she's like, "Why did you tell me? You told me you didn't want to hear it."
Right.
Fires and all kinds of craziness. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, one of the reasons why it was such a blessing and why I think we stayed in Texas, because we could have moved and then be like, you know what, this is not working out, and move back. But the joy of being able to spend time with our children and spend time with each other and like that, we worked so much there. Like, it wasn't like we didn't work. We worked when we were in Maryland, but we worked a lot. We worked like, I felt like I was working in my sleep. I worked so much and trying to juggle everything. And I think moving away from that and not having to do that as much. Also, although some people may disagree, but moving away from family, it just helped a lot. I know it's a struggle having the kids and not having the support, but we also don't have any obligations to anybody necessarily, unless we want to, because we don't have as much family here. So it's not like, oh, it's Christmas, we got to go see. Well, we don't. They don't live here. And so we found that moving here and living here, like, we enjoy spending time together. We enjoy biking, and we enjoy like going to the park. We enjoy like exploring something new. Let's go travel to Dallas. Let's go to Houston. Let's go to the beach. Like, just things that we didn't necessarily have the time to do before, but now because it's readily accessible to us, because we have the exact same schedule. Like, we just voted in our school. We're in the same school district too, and our job is like 10 minutes away, 20 minutes for him. So everything is really close. And so we voted on the calendar for 2025 for our school district. Everybody votes. And so the fact that even like we could plan up to, a whole year from now, because we have the same schedule, and so it's pretty awesome. And then, with him coming in, he gets paid like the same amount I do, and I've been teaching longer. But again, favor was just do that.
Wow.
So we've just been blessed. Like, honestly, I think it's been pretty cool. Just having the same stuff and being able to travel and do the things that we love. So,
as you guys are talking, I feel like this was actually the Holy Spirit speaking. That as you guys were talking, and I'm thinking about how Abraham and Sarah had to leave their land, right, and go to a different land. And it wasn't until they moved into that different land that eventually Sarah had children. And then they were able to just go about, having generations come after. And I'm just thinking about how maybe that's similar to you guys and how God separated you from your family. You moved to a whole nother state, not just a state 2 hours away. Y'all moved, right? So, as you were speaking, Algenia, and just saying how, you go biking, you guys are creating that legacy with your family, and it's separate from what you knew as you grew up or as children for yourselves, right? It's separate from that. And so it's almost like it's almost like an Abraham and Sarah comparison when I think about it. It's like he had to move you guys away in order to just create what he wants you all to have, and the generations that are going to come after your children, they're going to benefit from those blessings that you guys are setting the sort of the progenitors, right, of your family, of your lineage. And so it just made me think about that example in the Bible of Abraham and Sarah. And when it comes to legacy, right, Mike, you were saying how you don't quite know what all it looks like when you think about legacy for your family. But what you guys have learned since moving to Texas, what do you see? What are some of the major differences you see with how you do family versus how you grew up?
I think major difference would be I guess being more like authentic in our relationships, not just with each other, but just with our relationship with God, like incorporating, like incorporating, like, you know, a lot of people say I grew up in church. I grew up in, you know, you just kind of show up and you're just required to be there. But in a way in which, I mean, how do I say it? Like, we're not just going to church. We're just like understanding and growing and understanding that our purpose is to serve God, to serve Christ. And I think I'm just looking at my kids now, and I just look at myself growing up, and I'm like, it's awesome the relationship that he has already with God, like right now. Not being dragged up, like, are we going to church today? Can we go? Like, I really like, just like really being upset
kids,
if we can't go.
Oh, they
like,
are mad.
Yeah, and
we can't go to church today. What you mean? Like, I don't understand. Like, no, we can't. We're going out of town. But can we go to church and then go after that? We're like, no, we cannot. And like, they get upset. Like, they're like, absolutely not. I will not miss kids' church. Okay. Yeah. And then there's the second service we can go to. Are we going to the second service? Why not? Like, we don't have to go to all the services, guys. They're like, but why not? Like, it makes sense. Like, everybody else is gonna be there. Like, let's go. You know.
But you know, like I just remember, you know, like just my dad. I didn't like necessarily grow in the same house with him, but I know he was in the church all the time. Like he played the bass, and he was just always there. You know, they asked him to play, he's there. But me as his kid, I never seen him. So how can we have the balance where we're pursuing and loving God, but we're also doing that in the house too? Like, how really being authentic and being real, and not just going through the motions in front of everybody else. Like, like, if, you know, a lot of people say, like, you know, what do your kids will say about you, or like, that'll be the true metric of if you're really who you say you are. You know? So, like, I spend a lot of time at church rehearsals, but I'm like, but I'm doing it in a way where it's not just me running and trying to please people, trying to do like, I try to run everything like that I'm doing, because especially when you're like talented or gifted to do certain things, they're gonna want to always, you know, want that, you know, oh, come play, come do this, come do that. But having to really live by, God, is this what you want me to do right now? Is this where you want me to spend my effort, my energy? God, should I be doing this versus this? Because there was some seasons where I couldn't do that as much as I wanted in the church. But it was more important for me to do certain things other place or at home. So it's hard for me to get the words, but I guess just being real, being more authentic with your relationship, and that really pouring over to what your kids see and experience, and then the relationship they have for themselves. So, I mean, like I said, like my view of legacy changed from a materialistic view of, you know, I just want them to be set up where they just don't have to worry about this or this financially, and this, or just have this education, but more so of a, man, they just need to have a true relationship with God, or a dependency on God, because you had that, then God will take care of the rest of what you need, because everything is His. So my mindset of that shifted, and I'm seeing that now, and it's like, I would rather them be in a place where they completely depend on God and obedient and just trusting Him versus having the best job and having the best financial setup. Because, you know, even in this past year, we talked about we got completely out of debt, but God just put us on another path that just challenged us. You know, this past year He had us, you know, focusing on not bearing talents. He just took us to that scripture where, you know, He talked about how evil like that servant was that just hid that talent and just did nothing. And he pushed us outside of our comfort zone because we just got out of debt. We've been trying to get out of debt. That's been our mindset. But He's had us make moves this year that put us in debt. But it's not saying we're just going crazy, but
right.
And now we're just kind of waiting to see what God does, because
gonna harvest.
You know, we'll let you know what happens. You know, it's literally like that. I don't know what's going to be the outcome, but I know what He said. I know what I'm going to do. So that could be the legacy, just outrageous, just trust and dependence on God, and that's it. You know,
I can just say, based on what you guys shared, it seems like you already have a legacy of faith just by how you guys have moved through seasons of your lives or your life, as far as moving to Texas, right? Or buying that house when you guys were really young because God said we could do it. So we're going to go ahead and do it. Renting it out eventually, like these things that you said your family and others may have said, y'all crazy for doing this. Like, what is happening? But the whole time you were standing on God's word. That's nothing but faith, you know, and that's just a repetitive thing that I've just been hearing as you guys have been speaking. Just, well, you know, we pray and we just listen to God, and if He said we do it, then we do it. Like, that's just been the repetitiveness of this conversation. So if anything, I can definitely say, based on what you've shared, you definitely have a legacy of faith for sure, you know. So Algenia, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, well, your question, you were talking about like how it compares to when we were younger, and this is like, you know, we discussed and talked, and this is nothing like when I was younger. Like, I didn't grow up with my mom or my dad. I lived with my great grandmother. Nobody in my family went to church, except for my grandma. A lot of people didn't get married or aren't married. I think I had like one cousin who was married, and guys were like horrible. I mean, all my grandma did was talk trash. Like, they're horrible. They're good for nothing except for getting you pregnant. And that was it. So, I mean, when I say the faith part, even the financial part, like we said, we didn't have a lot of help financially with our wedding and things like that necessarily. My family's not wealthy, but also like I was an independent student when I was in college because my mom had gotten killed, and you'll have to watch the other episodes to learn that. But so I was already like independent anyway, and so any money that I had was money that I earned, which is why we worked so hard. We're like, no, we got to make it. And so it's just all these things. I could just name a bunch of things. Being a parent is new for me because I didn't have you know, that experience as well. But what it also does is it creates this amazing ground that God can just do whatever He wants, because I really don't have a foundation to work off of necessarily. So God is able to just do whatever. So I read the Bible, I look, and say, okay, they didn't have a baby, they prayed. All right, so I'm gonna do that. And then God's like, well, you know, how many times do I have to pray until something happens? Okay, well, I'm just getting even being in church, you know, that experience was really huge and really difficult for me to transition into, because I've not experienced that a lot. And then I went to church in college, and I had an awesome experience there, and that just taught me about sisterhood, because I don't have sisters, all I have is brothers. And I mean, I could just go on and on and on. It's just a number of things, but God has just moved. And so I think one other thing would just be, I followed the directive of my husband. Like, not that he told me this is what we're going to do, but I believe in him since we met and we talked, since we decided we were going to court. And I believed in his vision. I caught that thing real fast. And I was like, you know what? I believe in it. Ever since then, he'll cast a vision, And I will be like, all right, let's do it. And it's funny, when I talk to my family, they always say, hey, did Mike change his job yet? Because he's always like switching to something new. I think that's what my family says it, because that's how they know him to be.
Right.
Casting vision. I know the bigger picture that he has cast and that God has given him. And so I just follow. I'm following. This is what he said. God will say, oh, God is saying this is, I've been praying, and this is what I feel that God has been telling me too. So let's do it. But that's important. You have to remember the promise or what God is saying, because when it does get hard, because it will, in the waiting, or even just when it's not happening, or when it's not happening how you want, or when everybody, okay, maybe it's happening, but everybody is talking, everybody got something to say, and it's nothing good, You have to remember the promise. And so that's the awesome part. One can do great things, but two, right?
That's right.
So us being together, it's like, okay, somebody's talking, somebody's saying stuff or whatever. Hey, don't worry about that. This is what God has said. Peace. Okay. And then the same thing for me. Oh, I'm not sure. What about my job? What do you think I should do? Okay, peace. So then I can move forward. We can move forward because we're doing this together. And so I think that's key too. We just following. We're supposed to be together, and we're following each other like we're supposed to. I'm following his leading. This is what he's leading us to do.
I think that's key, because when I'm down, she might be up, or vice versa. Because like, I'll say like, God said 2 weeks after daughter's born to go, and I can say 6 months later, and I can say all this stuff. But like when we moved down here and things weren't working out, I'm still, I've never been unemployed that long since we've been married. I've always been constantly, consistently working and like providing. So that 4 months was very, very tough for me. But, I was like, well, maybe I could just keep working up north and just, come down on weekends. And
that's what he said.
And,
I'm going back, and I was like,
I was doubting. I was
you're
just
not going
like,
nowhere.
And she helped me accountable. It's like, no, you gotta trust. I'm like, oh, okay. So it was like a hesitation, like put, here's my resignation letter. I don't know.
He did not actually. It was like a month. It was like a month before.
I guess
okay,
we can talk
sorry.
about it.
He had to go back. I'm just clarifying.
Right.
And then he had to get back on the plane and go back
I was still
to resign because he had
he
keeps his options open.
I was in Texas before I officially like let my job go. So they didn't know Texas. We completely like started on a whole new life, and they had no idea that I was getting more. But that's another way God opened the door. It was FMLA, we were FMLA leave, and learning what you can do within it, and certain things that were in my contract, that because there was so much strife on the department, I did some research and I found out, we can be on up to 11 months of leave. I mean, non-paid, but when you have a child, like, let's take advantage of it. So I completely moved. And I was still, technically employed. So I would have dragged it out. I was like, maybe I'll just hold on to it a little longer just to make sure. But she's like, go ahead and put that resignation in. So I did, and flew back and turned in everything, and then officially closed that door. Came back, still waiting and waiting to because I just felt just like useless, like in that period where I'm not making, or providing, and like again, like guys at the very end, God was like, you didn't even have to stress because I had you
the whole time.
You could have a vacation because when we were in Maryland, you just had to keep working, and it still wasn't enough. Still wasn't enough. But listening to the vision, listening to God, and keeping each other accountable, because you have those low moments, you have those doubting moments, and it just helps to have someone just reminding you and keeping you on point, so you're not completely just giving up.
Yeah, no, that's good. Algenia, you said you trusted the vision that God gave Mike from the beginning. And that's so important because that helps Mike to run with what God has given him when he knows when he knows he has your support, right? And then when you guys are able to trust the God in each other, right? When you're able to trust God in each other. Oh, you heard that, Mike? Okay. All right, I'm gonna go pray about it. And then you come back. All right, Algenia, what'd you hear? And just kind of that bouncing back and forth between what'd you hear God say? Man, if a marriage does not have that, I don't know how marriages last. Even if it's just one person that's hearing God and the other person is not going to God, you can't have that either. Like both people need to be going to God so that when you come together, you can both share what you've heard God say. And then sometimes it may be something different. Like, oh, okay, you heard that? Huh, okay, I didn't hear that. And then you got to pray some more to see, okay, why do we hear something different? Because it may not be that you heard something wrong. You just heard something different. So, it's just that whole thing of
too.
yeah.
When you were in Maryland, you were doing real estate, and he felt like, I'm supposed to do real estate, and I'm like, does that mean you're gonna spend more time away from us? Because he's still a police officer,
right?
Like, yeah, and I was like, no,
and
we disagreed on that for a very long time, and he went forward with it. He went and did real estate, and it was a lot of work that God had to do on me for me to finally come around to even start to support him. But even now, I mean, that was years ago. I don't even know how many, at least 5 years ago that took place. But even now, we're still feeling the residual of those emotions and feelings, to where if he does real estate now, he's hesitant to say, oh, I might need to talk to somebody about real estate because of the non-support that I gave him then. Now,
Ooh, that's a whole episode. Let me tell you, that is a whole episode.
We get to come back. All right.
It is, because when you don't have that support from your spouse, right, about something that you heard God say, but you're obedient and you do whatever God, has you to do. And again, your spouse really isn't on board. And then, like you said, Algenia, time can go by, but you still remember in your heart and in your mind that moment of, but I didn't get your support there.
Yeah.
And I think about how, you just named one area. Maybe there are couples out there where there's been multiple areas where their spouse just have not received that support in multiple areas.
Wow.
And that does a number on you when you don't come together and there's some type of agreement at some point. Because I know that agreement won't always happen right away. It may take time, especially because, again, we're human, we're flawed, and all those things. But if you're constantly not on the same page, that just does something to your marriage. Yeah. Like, if we're not taking time to really understand our spouse, which is something God has been working on me with Jared, taking time to really listen to him and not just assume what he's thinking or what he's trying to say, right? I think that would just help to create so much more peace in our homes. But we have to do a better job in our marriages of making sure that, you know what, if I may not understand you right now, but I'm going to work to try my best to understand you.
Right.
Because nobody wants turmoil in their home. Like, home should be peace. It shouldn't be, oh, I enjoy my job more than I enjoy home. You know what I mean? Like, home is home, know?
That was our biggest challenge. We knew that going into marriage. So again, going back to the start of communication and what happens when we disagree and what that looks like. And we knew we had to communicate and get past that and work on that. Like, we have to constantly work on that. I think we had Living Waters? We had all went on a marriage retreat, like a marriage conference or something. And I remember we had
Weekend to Remember.
Yes, remember. And we learned, I'm not sure if it was there or we had went to another one, but we learned,
2 of those.
That communication was our big thing. And so it's taken time over the years, but that communication piece just keeps coming up. And as we grow and mature in our age, as we grow and mature in our marriage, even being married as long, well, that's not that long, but it feels short, but communicating and remembering to communicate, because it's easy to shut down. Even as a believer, it can be easy to shut down because you'd be like, well, I'm gonna just talk to God about it. I'm not. But just saying, hey, I'm not ready to talk about it right now because I'm going to pray about it, or I need a little bit more time with God before I say something crazy. Can you quote, is that okay? Just ask, is that okay? And then, all right. So, and then I can come back later and say, are you ready to talk about it? No, still? I guess I'll just go over here and keep praying. So I think just communicating is so huge, and making that decision that I'm going to keep working at it. And that might be different. Some people might be really good at communicating. That might not be their thing. But for us, we knew communication was a huge thing. And the real estate, for that particular piece, the communication was the part, because to show people houses over and over and over again, to go to closing over and over and over again, I'm going to meet with this person to discuss this over and over and over again. That takes communication, that takes planning, and it takes time away from him being at home. And the crux of me saying no was, it was crying out and saying, I need you here. And he's like, but I need to be able to make the money for us to be able to do whatever we need to do, so just hearing both sides and coming to the conclusion that, yes, I need him here, but God has something else for him right now, and I'm going to be okay. But he also needed to hear me say no, because he needed to hear me say, I need you here.
That's right.
And
That's
for him
right.
to work on actually being here and what that meant. Like, you hear, but you're really here, So I think it's just a communication piece. Even now, it's just communication.
So even now, like, I do real estate stuff. It's like that little feeling in the back. I'm like, let me just make sure everything is all right first, and it's still there. But we've gotten better. I mean, it used to be like, even outside the real estate, it's like when we go on like a trip or vacation, we would anticipate like the first day or two just arguing.
We always.
It's like here it is. Let's get through it so we can finally enjoy the rest of it. And it was so common, it's so like normal, until we realized that the issue was just we're not communicating like we should. Now like this past season we've traveled a lot more because we got into camping, RV and stuff. But it's like even now that forces us to communicate more, like to maneuver the trailer and hooking up, and we got to work together. And it's funny, like we'll like look around at other couples as a pack in the RV up, and like, ooh, they need to work on their communication because they up there, because it really takes a team to like to do it. It really does. And it's like the last few times, like we're like high fiving, like, good job, we're trying to do that,
You see that? We killed it.
You did really good when you did that. It's like I'm like, man, this is like help. And it's like we don't see those big blow ups like we used to, because it's a byproduct of we're communicating. Aligning the careers. That's another thing. We're on the same schedule. We're not like missing each other. We're not like, so it's just all making things a lot cohesive, just better.
That's good.
Is always a big one. Communication is a huge
one.
And it did help. Like in the very beginning, she was open and honest. Like we were, it was that first summer we were just started dating, courting. She's like, I'm bad with money, I need help. And I'm like,
I'm gonna just let you know, okay?
She was just so like upfront and open with it, but it made it so much easier for us to deal with it. Like, how many couples deal with financial issues? A lot of them, but it takes a lot to get to that point where people are vulnerable enough to open up and say, I need help here. I need, something here. But because she was like, just like, I don't know what I'm doing. Can you help me right away? I'm like, it made that section just so much easier to deal with. And but it's not like something that you deal with one time and it's good. It's a continuous thing. We still got to call those budget meetings. We still got to call those. It's still communication. Schedules. Yeah.
I like to think of communication because I want to do the imagery. It helps me. But communication is like a hedge around our home, a hedge around our marriage to protect it. I say that because the more we communicate, the less the enemy can come in and just say whatever. The less we communicate, the more the next thing I know, I'm getting attacked, and I'm like, bro, how is this happening? We found that we have way more issues and problems, and we're more easily attacked. The enemy's able to sneak in and kind of make a home in our home because we're not communicating. And as soon as we start getting on the same page, like we feel it, like there's a flow to it. And as soon as something comes up, I mean, it could be something as simple as, oh, my kid is sick. All of a sudden he's sick and he shouldn't be. Like what's going on? Or we're getting all these reports from my son's school about blah, blah, blah. Oh, no, that can't be right. No.
Right.
That's not it, because we're able to automatically communicate and pray about it and, just go to God, beseech him about it. We're able to talk about it as a family. We communicate as a family too, to our kids, even though they're a little bit younger. We have a 4-year-old, then we have a 2-year-old and an 8-year-old and 1-year-old, excuse me. And so we communicate with them too. Just talking to them. What do you guys want to do today? What do you when we go out, what do you want to do? Let's study a book of the Bible this month. What do you want to study about? Or I mean, it could just be anything. Just giving open communication. So
that's good. That's good. And we didn't really touch on your 1-year-old, but
I don't know why I called him too, because he grown. So no, for real. Like he have a job. That's how grown.
So he was born when?
June 14th,
22.
2022. Wow.
He was our first Texas baby.
True Texas.
Wow. Yeah.
Texas strong too. So I told, I said earlier that we had my son, we miscarried before. We had my daughter, we miscarried before. This one, no miscarriage. I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. It took me at least a month to be like, is this really happening? Like, I'm really like, this is really. So I call him my little Texas strong baby because there was no miscarriage, there was no nothing, and he came when he was supposed to, and all the things.
Praise God. And what's his name again?
Samuel.
That's right. So Stephen, Abigail, and Samuel.
Correct.
Right. Okay. Well, we are wrapping up, but I have a few more questions for you guys, and that's, how do you pray for your children?
Good question.
That's a good one.
I will go first. I pray with them when I'm consistent with it, and then I pray every day on my way to work for them. So when I pray with them, it's normally at the end of the night, and then we'll say our prayers. We'll ask them who they want to pray for. I don't think I've done it in a little while. I've been slacking, but we get back on it. And so that's normally our time to pray. Sometimes we pray as a family just to teach them how to pray. And then every morning when I go to work, I pray for them. I pray that Samuel will just be a joy to everyone around him because he's just like a wrecking ball, but he can be so fun. And people are like, oh my God, he's so cute. And so I love that he can bring joy to people. And so I just pray that he continues to do that. And I pray for Stephen. Sometimes he can be so intellectual that I don't want him to lean more on that than he leans on God. And then obviously I pray for Abigail. The biggest thing I pray for Abigail is her allergies. So I pray for healing a lot for her because she has so many allergies. And if she doesn't take her medicine consistently, I'm praying for her to get off the medicine, not have to take it. But if she doesn't take it, it ends up turning like really bad. She coughs a lot. I pray for Mike too. I pray for myself. But those are like my main prayers for them, and then we just pray together.
Good.
We take a lot of time we took a lot of time to seek out about their names, like and I spend a lot of, like, when I pray about I pray about like not so much like for right now. I pray like that just God would just open their eyes to their purpose and like stuff early, just because like, for example, like Stephen, our first, I pray about his boldness and his just dedication, his just zeal for God, because that's his when reading about Stephen in the Bible, it's like, yeah, he was a martyr, but he had that awesome boldness. Like he didn't looking at death in the face, that like, I'm going to proclaim the name of Jesus, like to the very last breath.
That's
and
right.
I see that. I see that in him. I see him bold, and I just want him to, continue that. Like, he started off in a private Christian school, and if it was up to me, we would have still found a way to do that here. But God didn't allow that. God had a different plan. So we're at a regular public school, and I'll be honest, I was concerned. I was like, because he has the most like kind, like giving heart. Like you could probably easily like take advantage, manipulate. He's just really a caring guy. But he, like I said before, he just like really, really loves Jesus. He's really like already at 8 years old, just like strong in his faith. And I'm watching him amongst his peers, and he's already a leader. He's already an example. He's already like, God is already using him already, And what my fears and concerns were is like, God is like, I placed him here for this particular reason. So that's my prayer. That God will just continue to reveal who they are in Christ. And it's awesome to kind of see it already. Abigail, she's starting to come up, and personality is coming through, and just being that woman of God. And at first it was like a struggle, because she was like almost like do the exact opposite of what we would want or say. But now, just already seeing that God is already working in her at 4 years old, and Samuel, I mean, he's like, he is a wrecking ball. Like he's just full. I don't know how to explain it.
Well, going back to the names, Samuel was a prophet, and prophets root up and tear down, and so I mean, he's kind of doing. So I kind of remember that. That's what prophets do. That's his namesake, and so that's what prophets do. They root up, they tear down, so they built again. So he's very good at it. And God has graced it. Like, he's really good. So
this little child has definitely challenged me. Great.
Hilarious.
How many more we got to go?
Right. No, that's good though. That's good. Mike, were you done?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much. I try to like focus on like God just opening those doors and just revealing to them who they are at a young age, not waiting till they 30, 40 to figure things out. Just God just automatically just grasping them and just using them as early as possible. And despite I feel as though I'm praying those prayers, but then I'm like, I have to follow up in that area. I have to follow up with my faith, because it's like, Stephen, like, he got an opportunity to be a pledge leader. So he's doing the pledge of allegiance for the whole entire district meeting.
Oh, wow.
He got the opportunity. And I'm like, Stephen, you don't have to do it. It's like, no pressure, like, because I'm like, I'm taking my, I guess, fears or whatever, and trying to put on, but he's Stephen. He's not Michael.
Right. That's good.
He's Stephen. And God is creating and molding him into who he needs to be as Stephen. And his response was, yeah, I'll do it. I've done things like this before. Like, no, I'm like, you sure? Like, you don't have to. Like, I got it. It's like no sweat. Like, he's bold. He's like not fearful of anything. And I just love it. And that's that's how I pray for, just like that God will just work these things and just mold them to be who they're called to be.
Yeah.
He's definitely doing it. He's definitely doing it.
That's good. That's good. I love that. I love that. What do you guys love about each other?
I love her bluntness. I everybody like, so she's just like, so like, like they used to use the word like rough or whatever. I'm like, but I'm like the complete opposite. I like, if I have to say something that's gonna hurt your feelings, you're gonna feel all coddled. You're gonna feel like, I'm gonna do it in such a nice way.
Right.
She's to the point. It's like, and so I think in many different ways she balances me out.
Yeah.
And and I just, even like, she might be me. I like that. I like, she's just like strong with it, and I laugh. I always joke about I have elementary. I got fifth graders, and I always joke, man, if y'all get in the Mrs. White class in middle school, y'all gonna be a rude awakening, because y'all gonna have you're gonna have a hard time. She don't play. She don't play. And even with me, like, she doesn't beat around the bush. She'll just be like real upfront and just honest. I don't have to doubt, like, or I have to kind of think too hard about what's going on. Like, she does well with saying, even if it's not in the most tact, she just does it, and I love it. But it's I mean, it's a lot I could say, but like, that's one I think I do appreciate, and it just helps us be who we are, because we balance each other out in that way. She's like, I need to write an email, and if I got you, I can help you. I can help you set her up, make it sound all nice, but I can make it cut a little deep too. But like, they'll be okay, but they're not gonna be brutalized with your just complete honesty. It's like, I help you out.
No, that's great. See, that's how God puts us together, so we can compliment each other. Because I'm genuine about this in this email that's about to just cut straight to the point. There's no type of softness or anything. It's like, look, I want to let you know your child is.
It's like 3 sentences. This is this. Yeah. I think, matter of fact, it was one to the pastor, and I was like, no, let me fix this. And he was like, wait, hold up. So about when at that time I missed that date.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, my turn. Are you done? Would you like to tell me more?
No,
wait. I love that Mike is a man of his word. Like, it does not matter what, and I learned that about him early, and it's one of the reasons why I fell in love with him. And he has been consistent and done that. And you don't know how. Well, you do know. Everybody knows how rare it is to have somebody be consistent. If they say they're gonna meet you at 7, he used to pick me up and take me to Bible study. And when we were in college, so we weren't dating, we were just friends. And he would say, "Okay, I'm gonna pick you up to take you to Living Waters at 7:26. Do not." And if I was late, he gave me a stern talking to. And the next time I would, first of all, I'd be late every time. So he would pick me up at the same, like, he is a man of his word. If he says he's going to do something, if he says so when he says, when we were talking about his job and how we moved to Texas, he still had a job in Maryland and he hadn't resigned yet. And if he needed to, he was going to go back. I knew if he needed to, he was really going to go back. If he says, I'm going to go to the interview for you, he's going to do it, because he's not going to say anything that he's not actually going to do and follow through. And I love that about him. It provides the strength for our family, the foundation for our family. And so the kids are able to grow up with a dad. Like, I didn't have that. Not even just my dad, my brothers. I didn't have somebody, when they said they're going to do something, that they're going to follow through. And the kids know, if their dad says he's going to do something, he's going to show up. He's going to be there no matter what. And that is just such a gift and such a blessing. I just talked to Mike about this when we had Christmas break, because teaching is such a roller coaster, and sometimes you love it and sometimes you really, really hate it, and you're like, why am I doing this to myself? And he's like, I don't know, right before Christmas break. And then Christmas break hits, and I'm like, just reminding him, babe, I just love that we get to be together for this time, because there was a time where you worked all the time. You were a police officer, and when you're a police officer, you still go to work. It don't matter that it's Christmas, Thanksgiving, nothing. You still have to go, and you weren't able to be home. And so, just him being a man of his word, like if he says he's going to do something, I love that about him. If he says he's going to do it. 2 weeks from now, we fly to Dominican Republic. Oh, I'm going. So I just love that about him. That's what I love. Yes.
Beautiful. Well, guys, you definitely hit on a lot. I love the wisdom that you shared with legacy, and with your marriage and your children and finances and all the other things that you shared. And I know that this is definitely going to bless other couples. And I always say singles too, for singles who are watching, those who may desire marriage. I remember when I was single and I would make sure I was heeding wisdom about marriage. Like, let me listen to these folks because they sound like they know what they're talking about, right? So I believe it's going to bless singles too. So I just want to thank you guys again so much for being on. One last thing, if you have anything else on your heart that you just want to share, anything regarding legacy, regarding marriage that you just want to share with folks, just share.
Just trust God. Just trust God, like, unconditionally. Write it down, trust him, and that's, don't get to a place where you think you got it. You don't. Whatever stage, whatever season, trust God in each and every one of them. That's how you can. That's the only way you can survive, to be honest. Like, that's it. That's it. You can't go off your own gut and, whatever experience you have, however long you've been doing it, trust God. That's it.
Good. That's good. Yeah. Did you have anything else, Jania?
Have hope is what I would say. Even when it gets hard, just have hope. Believe God, like he said. We're believing God for a farm, because we want to be able to have a farm. We don't know how that's gonna work. It's not working out so well.
Good.
Yeah, maybe some horses, some chickens, who knows? But if you see us in the future in a few years, then we're gonna have a farm, and
we're gonna talk about that.
Right. Next time,
yes.
Farm. Just have hope. Dream big dreams. Why? Like, why not? All you have is to fail, and then you'll just be right where you already are. So dream big dreams. Like, go for it. Like, the wildest, craziest thing you can think of. Just
the bigger the better. The ones that you can't possibly do, like,
without
the
God,
better. Like, that's. I have no idea how you can get a farm, but it doesn't matter.
See, there y'all go with this praise. I'm trying to tell y'all.
We've got to start this garden so we can start practicing. But
and that's the thing. Like people around me, like even my parents, like when you start saying something over and over again, it's just a matter of time. They said that to me. They said, "Oh, you gonna move to Texas one day?" Yeah, I'm gonna Texas. Yeah, and then now like I forgot all the conversations, and they're repeating it to me. All the stuff. But it might be the same people that said, like, that was crazy. Why that's dumb. Why are you even say something like that? What, same people talking about, man, that was cool. You did that, and you said you was gonna did it. But trust God,
Yeah, have hope, have faith. Obviously, I mean, sometimes it's so easy to say those things than to actually do those things. So practically, I think about where you are. Think about the people that you have surrounding you. Are they speaking hope and faith? And if not, then where can I go to get more hope and faith? And wherever you need to go, that's what you got to do. And then once you find it, you just hold on to it and you don't let it go. Like,
that's right.
Everything you got.
Yeah. By faith, you got to do something. You have to put some kind of action to it. Like
faith without works is dead.
We talked about buying an RV. We don't have
for years
budget for an RV. We always window shop and stuff. But the day that I took a shovel and started digging up the front yard, I said, if we get an RV, we're gonna have to extend our driveway. We're not in enough space. So I just took a shovel and I started digging, and that was
in the Texas heat.
In the Texas heat, I could only dig for. I passed out, But yeah,
you had no RV, digging. No money. Just start digging a hole.
Digging, getting ready.
Got the neighbors coming by. Hey, what you doing?
Yeah.
What?
No. I'm serious. Like you said, Abraham, right? Like you said, Abraham, right? That's what it was. What you doing? Like Noah. Noah's building the ark. What you doing? I'm just building an ark. It don't rain here. What you doing?
So you know,
wow.
God put agriculture on our heart right now. So we're just doing a lot of research. What is it going to take to get a farm? What does a agricultural business plan look like? You know, is it worth getting a lender to fund it, or what types of, you know, just researching. So we're
researching black farmers.
Black farmers. It's another topic. Black farmers, another topic.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, you know, how much? What are the obstacles? You know, especially being African American, what are the obstacles? What are, you know, and you know, not saying that it will be. You know, just researching. You know, got put on our heart. We can't just say that's going to be a cool idea. What are we doing to work that out? I mean, I don't have the funding now, no, but I can start working the plan. So when somebody comes along that agrees, or God spoke to as well, oh, you got the plan, I got funding. Let's make this happen. So God's going to make it happen however He sees fit. But whatever I can do, I'll start doing that. And that's me putting the faith into action. That's the works part. That's not me trying to do it on my own, because I don't have the means to do it on my own. But what I can do, I'm gonna start doing.
Listen, go ahead, y'all. I'm truly, I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged by you guys' example. I really am. You guys are a beautiful couple. And for you to have kind of set the tone with being, again, one of the first couples married amongst a lot of us, right? Like back then, you already were setting an example, you know? And as you guys have just continued to grow in your marriage, and now being 12 years in, you're still setting an example. And so just keep doing what you guys are doing. I'm ready for all that God has in store for you guys. And, you know, it's interesting you mentioned agriculture, because that's something that I think for me, it's just been land. Like, God, how do we purchase land? And then eventually, how do we make that into a farm, you know, or whatever God sees fit to do with it. So that's kind of been on my heart too. But I'm trying to get to that faith level. Like Mike is like, look, I don't have the means, but I'm gonna make a plan, and He's gonna do it. I'm trying to get there. So you guys just keep doing what you're doing. Your light is shining bright.
One thing my current pastor, you know, says, you know, you waiting on that baby, go buy the crib. Go buy the crib. Put it up. Buy the crib now. That's your faith. That's your faith working. You know, buy the crib. Put it up.
That's right. Yeah.
You know?
Just like that whole.
Yeah.
I'm being dead serious. Like he literally, I was like, babe, what are you doing? I'm digging a hole. So you know what we did, right? Faith, right? Me, Stephen, Abigail, we all out there digging the hole too. And after an hour, the kids are like, "Can we go in now?" I'm like, "No, pick up the rocks."
Listen, that's on point. Again, you're trusting your husband's vision, right? Like, look, all right, babe, this might look crazy, but let me go ahead and grab this shovel. Abigail, Stephen, come out here. That's on point. Yes. I love that.
We put the driveway there, and before that, people were like, "No, you need to get it done by the city. It's going to be a whole thing." And then the city came, and
I had a plan. My driveway was going to cost $700. It costs, how much it cost?
A lot of money.
Almost 7,000. I can't remember.
Yeah.
I was going to do gravel. The city don't allow gravel, so I had to do concrete. So I didn't, you know, but. We got
planting the seed, right?
Yeah.
I already dug a hole there, so I'm already invested. I can't just leave a hole here.
Going back.
So,
and now we're sitting. And now we're sitting in the RV in our driveway.
Yes, literally sitting in it. I love it. I love it. Awesome. Well, guys, thanks again. This has been wonderful. Your episode is actually going to premiere soon, but I'll keep you guys posted on that. But this has been wonderful. Thanks again for just making yourselves available for this particular episode. And I want to thank all of you for just tuning in today. This has been a rich episode. I hope that you've really taken a lot from it. And go ahead and like the episode, share it with others that they may be blessed, and also leave a comment in the comment section, just letting us know something that stood out for you today. If you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel, Breakthrough Conversations. In the meantime, everyone, enjoy your day and be blessed.